thanks for joining me on another video. This video is more or less about updates, tips and tricks, and we've got a little bit of information regarding the parts shipment. Let me just say it's coming very soon, and that would involve the composites and the wing, which will look like this one. The wing will look like this. This is generally the colours, however mine will be a strutted wing. I see that from the previous statistics. You enjoyed the last video, which was about turbulence and diurnal temperature range or diurnal temperature variation. Thanks for watching that, and I hope you got something out of it, and I'd love to have a bit more discussion about what that means and what it is and how to fix turbulence in flying and how we can use it to forecast how thermally turbulent the air will be when we do fly. Did you notice the strange, unusual thumbnail this time? Well, let me just tell you, it's about an MRI. I'll get into that in a moment too. So, MRI, what's going on? Well, we're 5 months in, I've still got some shoulder pain. We're trying to find out why. We're trying to identify if there's anything that's not quite right in my shoulders. They reckon my shoulders should be well and truly improved by now. But I think from what I've experienced in the past, soft tissue injuries can take quite a while to rectify, and I think I'm slowly mending, but that's another story. Have you seen one of these machines before? While I was in it, they're so noisy. If I can find a noise on the internet that represents what they do, because we can't record in the actual room, I'll put it in now. It sounds like aliens downloading data to you. I'm sure I learned everything there was to know about nuclear fusion. Or is it fission? I think it was fission actually. Check this out. This is a TAF decoder that you might kind of comprehend. It's actually pretty accurate when you think about it. So technically, I have now actually started the rebuild of the aircraft, because, well, first of all, you might see here are my forks. The forks have now been fully restored, powder coated, so that they will minimise the corrosion, and I've done the pedals. The pedals needed some work because the bolts were bent. As you will see in the previous video, this is how the pedals used to look, and this is how the pedals look now. They are flash. I've added something called braided heat shrink on the footrests. I'm not sure if that's going to be a good thing, but I thought it jazzed them up a little bit. Looks nice. Braided heat shrink is this stuff. It's really cool. You can get it in quite a few sizes, but because it's braided, it's got a texture, and I've used it on a few things now, and I think it's just perfect. Don't mind the budgie in the background. He likes to have his turn too, I guess. So what else have we been doing? So that's the forks. Oh, as well as the forks, those are the suspension linkages as well. Everything's looking very nice. Better than new, I reckon. The other thing, the next thing, so we've spoken about the pedals, before and after, and the braided heat shrink. And you'll also look at these photos now, and these are the bolts and the protractor that I received from Warp Drive to affix the propeller to the gearbox when we refit it. We haven't refitted that yet. The gearbox will be refitted when after I've started rebuilding, so that the engine's not as heavy, because the gearbox is quite heavy to lift, and so if we leave it off while we do the engine swap between chassis, that would be the easiest way to do it. Then we can fit the gearbox, and then we can move ahead with finishing the rebuild. If you also noticed in the thumbnail, did you read it? Shipping next week? Really? So we're so close. It's looking really promising. So about the propeller, I won't be using this one, but I saw a tip on one video about adjusting the propeller pitch. So I've got the protractor that I showed you that goes on the end to get the degrees, and the factory specification for this propeller is 16 degrees, and it's quite a fine adjustment. So trying to rotate, if you've ever done it, trying to turn this, every time you try to rotate to get the half a degree correction or third of a degree or whatever it is, it just jumps, you know, because you can't get enough leverage or precision on it. So I saw this thing in a video, much like this. So what you do is you put it over the propeller, and then you've got a nice little lever that allows you to fine adjust. So that'll help. That'll just make things easier. It's easy to build. I just put a couple of bolts through some timber and some aluminium for hinges. You can use a hinge on the top if you want to. I just didn't have one the right size. So that's going to work nicely. And what else have we got? Bolts. Oh, the braided heat shrink that I talked about, I've used it to make a new camera mount. Even though I'm not flying at the moment, I'm still thinking about how I'm mounting my cameras. So in these pictures you'll see how this attaches to the front strut on the aircraft. And I've used the heat shrink on this bracket that I've made here, so that the pole goes through the middle, as you see in the pictures, and it just tightens up on the pole. And then what you can do is mount one camera on top, one camera underneath, and by doing that you've got one facing towards you, one facing towards the front, and they're both reachable and running at the same time. So I think that's going to work really well. I've always been trying to point the camera forward and then rotate it to point it at me, but it might be just easy to have two separate cameras, both running on power as well, so that they won't go flat. And I can reach them both, so I can turn them on and off, or reset them if I need to, or adjust them, whatever it is. So if you're into filming your flights, check in with me if you want to know how to make one of them. Pretty easy really, but I just thought the braided heat shrink was a nice way to protect the pole that it's mounting on, so it's got some sort of cushioning protection there against metal to metal. Okay, so that's the camera mount. Now also I've been thinking about how can I minimise wind noise and so forth in the helmet microphone. So I've made a little windsock here, and inside this windsock there's actually, it's a quilt, a doona, I don't know what you call them, but a padded blanket for a bed. I used them to make my spat covers actually. I bought one doona, cut out the pattern that I needed to make the spat covers, and it's got a padding in it. So the padding on here, I've just made basically a boot that goes on here and cable tied it onto the helmet microphone. So that's going to stop quite a bit of wind noise there, and the audio's coming through perfectly clear. So we'll give that a go once we're flying again and making some more videos. So that should be quite good. Next thing is, you might notice some bling on the right here, on my right, your left. So this, these were looking a little bit aged. They tarnish, it's stainless steel with heat exhaust mufflers of course. And I've managed to polish them up quite well. One of them's not as good as the other one, but they're much better than they were, so that's going to be quite nice, almost bringing the aircraft back to new condition. So look out, when this aircraft's finished it should look like brand new and very nice. There's a few other minor things I might do as well, just to give it a little bit of a personal touch too. And the last thing that I've got to do, well, watch this and enjoy, and we'll see you in another video later on. Thanks for watching this one. Thanks for supporting the channel. Really appreciate it, and the comments mean a lot to me. Just knowing that you guys are interested, and if you're really into the flying sort of videos, I mean obviously we're in a rebuild scenario at the moment, but I'm trying to blend it now I think with some rebuild videos and also with some flying videos that I filmed last year before the accident. So those videos I might sort of put a couple out now and then. There's one about how well the aircraft glides when the engine is at idle, or when the propeller is completely stopped with the engine turned off. So I've actually done that test, and I can make the video anytime when I've got time to fit it in. If you're interested in seeing that, let me know. Which one glides the furthest? Which one do you think? Tell me in the comments. Which Microlite? And tell me your theories if you know why it will glide further with the engine off or further with the engine at idle. Tell me your theories. because I got some ideas now after I've seen what I've seen. I didn't expect to see what I did, but I actually don't think it's the same for every type of aircraft. Parasitic drag of the fuselage and the wing and the aircraft design and all the antennas and different things and landing gear and different configurations, I think actually affects whether or not having the engine at idle or turned off makes different aircraft perform differently in that scenario. Anyway, let me know. We'll try and get that one out in the near future, and I've got some other ones to come as well. So there's plenty coming. See you later. Thanks. Bye.
Okay, gotta go.